Well, hello. I know it's been a bit since I made my last video, probably too long ago, but in that I was mentioning how in the job that I finally acquired after being out of work for a bit, I'm suddenly finding out that there are two surprises that I didn't want to have that could be coming down my way. Now, one of them just hit. I do have to take once a quarter a 5-day unpaid furlough or time away as part of the job. The staffing company that got me the gig, they knew about it, but the recruiter just dropped the ball. And so I'm having to eat it. Even though, or at least right now, I've told the staffing company, you knew this, you should have told me and you didn't. You should be the ones eating this to keep the relationship on the up and up, but we'll see. I'm on that furlough now. I decided to take all 5 days together. And I made some other decisions to make the time more productive. One of the decisions that came to mind, I said, in a few weeks, I'll be 55 years old. And rather than trying to live for the day I turn 59 and a half and I can actually access all of my retirement monies, what can I do to bridge that gap between now and then? So I stopped making contributions to the 401k that I had at that job, which was disappointing for me because I had already calculated, recognizing that I only had 9 months out of the year left to maximize out my 401k contributions. I'd made the calculations of how much I would have to sacrifice per pay period in order to do that. And now with me having to take basically a whole week off every quarter, that messes up the math some. And I just figured, hey, there's enough money already in those accounts that in the next 4.5 years, they should mature to a level that should be good enough. But what can I do now? So I decided to start contributing more to things that would be liquid between now and then, if something should happen. And man, we are on the verge of potentially entering the kinetic part of World War III, so who knows? But I've thought about this job insecurity and how it's affecting folks. And, in addition to me changing how I'm going to be investing money, I've decided to take a few courses during this time. I just finished up a 2-day course last week, and I'm in day 2 of a 3-day course. And then after Juneteenth, I guess I'll be back to work this Friday, which is just me being able to bill 1 day for the whole week. Not in love with this idea, but I'm trying to make the best out of it. And I think about the whole job insecurity thing because if it's affecting me and I've got all this experience, what is it doing to people who are just trying to launch? For example, I used to be the stepfather of 2 stepdaughters, and they are grown women today. One of them should be 28 years old. The other should be 24. And I wonder if they are in a position to do the things at their age today that I was able to do when I was their age back in the previous century. And, I wonder, at that time, when I was 24, I had my own car that I was paying for. I had my own apartment, buying my own food, gas, electric bill. I didn't have a cell bill right when I was 24, but I did when I was 28. And I just wonder, especially with them being women, are they able to do it without a roommate and find a safe place to live? It's different for me. In the fall, as a guy, 6'2", it gets to be dark around 5:30. I felt comfortable getting out of my car, walking in a dark parking lot, and then going into my apartment. I didn't tarry. I mean, I walked with authority from my car to the apartment door, just in case, I can't take on 2 people or 3 people or more, but just making sure that I'm squared away, and I wonder about them. Maybe they need to find, like there was a girl I dated, and she had a garage attached to her apartment. She closed the garage door, got out of her car, and then walked right into her apartment. That sounds pretty safe, and I wonder, what that would cost today. And are they in a position to do that? Because with all my experience, I was still out of work for longer than I should have been. And so if they can't do it, if they want to have children, they need to be married and start doing that right around now, because my understanding is once you start hitting 30, it gets harder. The pregnancies get to be more complicated, and you might begin, like a lot of women, wishing that you had gotten started earlier. Either way, that's why I pay a lot of attention to certain people in the news and certain how things get analyzed. Speaking about this whole World War III with Iran and Russia and Israel and Iran and Israel and Russia and Ukraine, it doesn't seem like any side is in a position right now or wants to be in a position to de-escalate. And I see that as being a problem with a lot of things these days. When it came with that kid, I believe his name was Austin, and Carmelo Anthony, who took his life. If someone had just learned how to de-escalate, that problem wouldn't have happened. With the situation with the less melanated Caucasian lady who called the 5 to 10 or 11-year-old boy the N-word, if she had de-escalated, we wouldn't know about her today. She wouldn't probably be getting people wanting to try to find a law to hold it against her. But nevertheless, she's probably a millionaire today, looking over her shoulder, finding someplace else to live to take care of her family. And then you had the situation with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I know it seems like it could be old news, but I'm going to share something with you that you probably haven't seen. I've seen a lot of analysis of this, and the greatest of all time in analysis of Elon Musk to me is Steve Bannon. And I'm going to show you what he had to say. This is one of the times he talked about the whole scenario between Trump and Elon Musk. But the guy is running out of friends, Elon. He lost a lot of friends when he got hooked up with MAGA. And then he's going to lose MAGA by, one, the whole H-1B stance that he had around the turn of the year, or around that time between Christmas and New Year's. And now he was petulant then, telling people, why don't you take a step backwards and F yourself in the face? And don't you want to win? And all this bull jive. And now he did the same kind of stuff to Trump, going as far as saying the reason why the Epstein files haven't been released is because Trump was on the flight logs and all this other bull jive. And I hear that they've kind of made up, and maybe Trump understands that the guy is weird. But he was becoming, in my mind, the Anthony Fauci of the Trump administration. He was just on TV too much. I'm like, when are you going to have time to do your gig? He's even following the president down to Mar-a-Lago. The president's leaving the White House, going into Marine One, and then going to Air Force One. He was doing that same stuff the weekends that Trump was going, hanging along with the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, and yeah. Anyway, I'll let Steve get into it. I think you're going to like it. I haven't seen it in a few weeks, so it's going to be like brand new to me again, but let's check this out.
Oh, so I quoted you this morning on that, on savings to entitlements, all that. Great work the other day. Those comments are great. And
Thank
then
you.
also, the weight of the world is on the presidency, right? He's responsible. Elon is not responsible morally, politically, for the real outcomes of all these interrelations between all these moving pieces. He just gets to do cheap shots.
He's another government contractor.
I don't want to get off thesis, but there's a lot of notable names. Jamie Dimon, Morgan Stanley coming out. Hey, we have a debt problem. Hey, we ought to be building up the defense, right? Like he's running for president now. It's easy to say that after it's already out in the media. The immigration problem's been around for a decade, and now people are just noticing it.
But you're wandering away here. You're wandering around.
Yeah, no, I know.
This is not about. People can make comments. You can make comments.
Yeah.
This is not what this is about. He promised and committed. He was given access.
Yeah.
He had admiration.
Yeah.
He had resources. They did everything to support him. He told the president, "I'm going to find $2 trillion in cuts for this year in waste, fraud, and abuse."
Yeah.
The president said, "Fine." Then he came back to trade. President said, "Fine." President had his back, defended him, promoted the cars when he was getting attacked. Had his attorney general defend this guy at every step of the way. President Trump had this guy's back and promoted him.
Yeah.
Right? And what he did, he gave false information. This was not just incompetence. What did Scott Bessent call him? Scott Bessent called him a Oval Office outside. That's why Elon attacked him, because he called him a fraud. He said, "Hey, you committed to the president $1 trillion. You got nothing. We've been here for 5 months, and you've been performance art all over town for yourself. Your chainsaw and your wraparound sunglass all for yourself. Not for the country, not for the president, not for MAGA, not for the American people, for yourself." And then he had every access. Now he says, "I didn't see the bill. Nobody read the bill." What are you talking about? Everybody had this bill up there. You could have read it, and you knew the numbers. You didn't need to read 9,000 pages. The math was there. We debated every day on the war. We talked about this ad nauseum. Of course he saw the numbers, and people talked to him about the numbers. He had no problem with the numbers. Johnson, Polly Pocket, said he never called me, and they talked every day, never talked to me about that. The president said he never made one comment. He had no problem about that. Now, when he doesn't get the EVs, and it's not just about the EVs. President Trump, the Axios story said it, and President Trump said it today. He said, "Hey, no offense, I kind of fired him. I let him go. He wanted to extend. I wouldn't extend him." Okay, then it got personal with him, and now he comes out, he's attacking to kill the bill. He's not sitting there going, "Hey, I think Ron Johnson's got some really good ideas.
Right.
I think Mike Lee's got some ideas." My point is, Jamie Dimon, everybody, people make comments, we make.
See, he's on a roll. And I got to tell you, I don't want to pause Steve right there, but he's running out of friends. At one time, I said to myself, I don't really understand Elon Musk's wealth. I don't understand his wealth. I understand Jeff Bezos' wealth. It's pretty easy to see with Amazon. But it's not that easy to see with Elon, because I don't use Twitter. And I listen to quite a few tech podcasts. And at the end, they say, "Tell us how people can follow you." And not only do the people mention that they're now with Blue Sky, they go out of their way to say, "I'm no longer with X or Twitter. I'm with Blue Sky." So he's ticked off some people in tech. He's ticked off people who used to like Teslas. I don't use Starlink. What else has he got? Starlink, SpaceX. Well, I don't use SpaceX. So his wealth apparently comes from these electronic vehicle subsidies that he gets from the government. Maybe some money that he gets for SpaceX from the government. Maybe some subsidies for Starlink, government contracts. And maybe he gets some money from Twitter. I don't know. I hope he does, because he spent darn near $50 billion on it. But he's running out of friends. And for what? For what? You're going after Trump for what? For what? For more popularity? You're the most popular billionaire that I can think of, besides Trump himself. Don't you have enough money? You certainly have enough women. You certainly have enough baby mamas. What is up with that guy? Anyway, let's let Steve continue.
He made comments. There's comments all over, observations all over. This is not what this is. He went and then personally, without informing the president of the United States, who he had told us, "Hey, I'm not gay, but I love this man. I love this man more than any man can love a man." Remember that? I love this man. I love this man more than anybody can love a man. I know it sounded gay, but he told us up front, I'm not gay, okay? But I love this man, that guy, the love doctor, right? What does he do? He doesn't inform the president. He comes out of nowhere. He's putting the Kill Bill thing out there to kill the bill. Not saying we need some changes here. Ron Johnson's got some good ideas. I think Josh Hawley's got a couple of three. The guys in the Senate. Now I got Andy Biggs. I've got the Hawks of the Freedom Caucus are saying, hey, I think we got some stuff that we want to change. Of course, the taxes don't expire until December 31st. That's the day we have to do it. We know we have to do it. And people have a lot of work, and people in this town are working around the clock. Some are working for the lobbyist. Some are working for the populist. Elon Musk is working for himself. President Trump empowered him more than anyone's ever been empowered in this government, had his back, promoted this guy. And when people like me who said, you're making a mistake, right? This is a bad guy. He's going to turn on you. He's not with us. He's also totally incompetent. And President Trump said, hey, give this guy a shot. And I trust President Trump's judgment enough to say, as people know, I backed off a little. Right? Not a lot. I backed off a little, but it's not about observations. As soon as he didn't think he ran the deal or got the adoration, right, that he was starting to be saying, where's the $1 trillion, right? What is this? He turned on President Trump. He turned on MAGA, but most importantly, he turned on the country and the American people. And President Trump just had enough of it. Yeah. And he forced his way back in to have like some last day. They didn't want to do that, but fine. And then as soon as President Trump comes out today, and President Trump saying it in the nicest way possible about the bill, right? The bill, ba-bing, ba-bang, ba, the guy gets up and starts tweeting the most vicious stuff you could tweet. So all the fanboys defend this. He accused President Trump of basically being a group with those pedophiles on the island. He called for the president to be impeached and J.D. Vance to take his role. As hard as we've worked in all the years that we've worked and this audience has worked, some punk is going to sit there and go, he should be impeached. And hey, as sure as the turning of the earth, if those progressives rub up on him and say, hey, they're never going to buy the Teslas, we're going to buy the Teslas, they rub up on him, he'll write a $500 million check for Hakeem Jeffries. He'll be across the thing looking to impeach President Trump, looking to help steal the 28 election, looking to imprison President Trump. So here's my point. Let's get ahead of it. And let's get ahead of it tonight.
Well, was I right? Did he read that guy right? I think I paused the audio by mistake when I meant to pause my microphone to mute the mic instead of muting the audio. Apologies for that. But nobody does it like Steve Bannon. He was on the guy on the whole H-1B stuff. And you notice that Musk stopped talking about it for a little while. Forever, really. I don't know if that's in his heart anymore to not have the H-1B stuff anymore, Elon. Quite frankly, that's why I have some reservations about Vivek Ramaswamy running for governor of Ohio. Those of you in Ohio, beware. But I hear he's got the nomination or the what do you call it when someone endorsement. I hear he has the endorsement of the people of the GOP in Ohio. But beware, because I would love to tell you guys where I currently work, but maybe I will when they no longer want me. I'm telling you, in the line of business that I'm in, it's got to be at least 50% Asian Indian, at least. And I saw a story. Well, I heard from this show, War Room with Steve Bannon, when the gal that was a co-host, Natalie Winter, she mentioned about 70% of the techies that are in Silicon Valley are foreign born. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I looked it up. And sure enough, I found a story from the East Bay Times, which tells me it's a magazine from the Bay Area. And it said nearly 3/4 of the people in tech in Silicon Valley are foreign born. That's too much. Can we say that's too much? I don't think any other country would allow that. I don't think in the capital of Russia's technology center, they would allow 3/4 of their people working there to be foreign born, but we do it. Anyway, I don't want to belabor from my first video back in a bit, but gives me hope. I like Steve. I keep watching. If you haven't watched them, check them out. If this is your first time checking me out, do me a favor, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.